Good evening. By its unprovoked and unjustified military actions against Ukraine, Russia is grossly violating international law and undermining European and global security and stability. Civilians are paying the highest price. Barbaric attacks have killed scores of innocent people, and millions of Ukrainians have been displaced, leading to a sharp rise in humanitarian need. We deplore the infliction of human suffering and the killings, of course. Russia's war of aggression also has a devastating impact on women and girls. As the conflict drags on, we have to make sure that these women and girls get all the support that they need. We have to help them rebuild their future. Research shows that during armed conflict, violence against women and girls, including sexual assaults and exploitation, increases. Ukraine risks being no exception. Reports from Ukraine indicate that sexual violence has been used systematically, including as part of a broader military tactic. Such use of sexual violence as a weapon in armed conflict is a crime against humanity. Those who are responsible for these atrocities must be held to account. To fight the persistent impunity for conflict-related sexual violence, the EU is supporting the investigation and prosecution of war crimes by the Ukrainian authorities, member states, and the International Criminal Court. The EU also enabled Eurojust to collect and store evidence on war crimes, and several member states have set up joint investigation teams and opened cases against perpetrators. Millions of women and children who have fled the war are facing an increased risk of trafficking for sexual exploitation. To address this risk, the Commission has developed a common anti-trafficking plan to support potential victims in close cooperation with Member States, EU agencies, and civil society organizations. Next to protection and support for victims of violence, we need to prioritize the economic empowerment of the people fleeing the war in Ukraine. Many women lost their income during the war and are looking for a safe place and a job. Through the Temporary Protection Directive, first activated in March 2022, the EU has granted people fleeing the war in Ukraine access to the labour market, education, healthcare, and other key services. The Commission has also mobilized support and significant funding to help member states hosting people fleeing the war in Ukraine. And it has published guidance for access to the labour market, vocational education and training, and adult learning for people fleeing Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. These guidelines will help ensure that the refugees can fully integrate into the labour market. As most of the people fleeing Ukraine are women, the guidance invites member states to pay particular attention to the labour market integration of women. Where women have small children or dependent family members, it is essential then to ensure access to adequate education and care services to allow the mothers to get a paid job. The EU also supports member states to integrate migrants and refugees through the Action Plan on Integration and Inclusion, the overarching principle of which is inclusion for all. Individual characteristics such as gender or ethnic background present specific challenges for refugees escaping war. The Action Plan takes these individual characteristics into account and supports early action and long-term commitment in the areas of education and training from early childhood upwards, employment and recognition of skills and partnership with businesses, health, such as access to healthcare services and mental health, and housing, including the risk of segregation and discrimination on the housing market. People from vulnerable and marginalized communities such as Roma or LGBTIQ women may also face challenges at the border. Problems can occur regarding ID documents, children separated from their parents, language-related communication issues, allegations of biased attitudes, and unequal treatment. The EU will continue to provide strong political, financial, and humanitarian support to Ukraine and its people. And the Commission will ensure that everyone fleeing the war is treated equally and can take part fully in European society. I thank you.